It's quite a while since we've come together, but we're still functioning. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce the new Presbyterian minister, is Reverend Dixon. Which was he? Merritt? I think I wrote it wrong.
Dixon Merritt.
Dixon Merritt. Well, welcome. Welcome. From PAC-B for taping us, and you have to watch it on the website. It's nice that you do that and keep it all up. I would also like to thank Mary Ann Miles for once again being willing to accompany the hymns. Please turn to the opening hymn, Faith of Thy Fathers, which is in your program. Standing next to me is my daughter Lisa, who, with Reverend Jeff Hodge, have been keeping the services going at Syracuse Home all through the pandemic. When they couldn't get there, they did it virtual. So I thank her for that, and I also thank her for coming because Jeff texted me and apologized. He said, I can't come for the funeral. I said, that absolutely takes first precedence. So without further ado,
Please join me in your hearts. Charitable Creator God, we come before you today in honor and in memory of our foremothers who reached out to minister to and with all those around them in the greater Baldwinsville community. You are the source of all our blessings. Thank you for every gift that we have been given. Thank you for the opportunity to gather together today and ask for your presence to be felt now in this meeting. Guide our work together now and in the future, and as we work, may we remember each the words attributed to Teresa of Avila. Christ has no body now but yours, no hands, no feet on earth but yours. Yours are the eyes with which he looks compassion on this world. Yours are the feet with which he walks to do good. Yours are the hands with which he blesses all the world. Yours are the hands, yours are the feet. Yours are the eyes, you are his body. Christ has no body now but yours, no hands, no feet on earth but yours. Yours are the eyes with which he looks compassion on this world. Christ has no body now on earth but yours. God, help us keep those treasured words in our hearts as we move forward through this coming year. I ask this in the name of your presence here on earth, Jesus Christ.
Thank you. I would like to welcome everybody to the 206th anniversary of the Female Charitable Society. I also want to say apologize for sitting, but I don't stand well for a length of time. I hope I made it best.
I can't hear very well.
You can't hear? Okay, okay. As I said before, I feel very humble being here and representing all the many ladies from the years gone by and gentlemen who have helped with being part of this organization. Since our last meeting in 2019, we have had a number of members, including 2 board members, Zoe Chalk and Erna Pulver, who have passed away. We also would like to keep longtime board member Joanne Sant and her husband in our thoughts and prayers as she is on hospice right now. Linda McMullen, who has provided the special card, which is out on the table. If you haven't signed it yet, whether you know her or not, just sign it and cheer it. We'll see that she gets it, as we will take one of the flowers to her also. Hopefully it will comfort them. Also, Linda McMahon is unable to attend. It's hard to believe that I am only the 37th president of the 206 years of this organization that has been in existence. And I've been in office 17 years. Time does fly. None of us have been held this office have been able to do it alone. All of the ladies who have held the office since 1817 have been very dedicated to the Society's mission. Today we have a dedicated staff of volunteers, both men and women, who help further our mission. We also couldn't do as much as we do without the current support of all of you. Members of the board, and please stand. Ellen Jennings, Linda McMullen, Linda McMahon is not here. Rena Nasdin, Joe Mosher, Ann Pritchard, Ginger Ruddick, Kathy Strain, and Mary Ann Williams. Thank you. Our honorary male members are Harlan Kesselstein, Joe McMahon, Frank O'Donnell, Tim Mosher, Jim Ruddick, and David Sneed. And floor closet volunteers who sit the desk and repair equipment. And if you are a volunteer, would you stand? Well, you're strong. We appreciate all the ladies who help. Who made the beautiful card. She's our card lady. Okay. And all of us, all of you who contribute your $5 dues to keep us going. It takes all to continue the mission of female charity. Once again, I'd like to remind you of our start. I'm sure most of you know it. I know there are some new people that may not know it. It's thanks to early ladies and Reverend Davenport, who was from the Presbyterian Church, and the foresight of organizing the Female Charitable Society of Lysage. Now the village of Baldwinsville, but they came from all around the little hamlet, and met at Bessie Farrington's house, located on the hill east of the village, just kind of kitty corner from Anheuser-Busch. Some walked, and some rode on horseback, coming from the west of the hamlet, Cold Springs, and even as far as Van Buren, which at that time was called Commerce. At the time that our society was formed, it seemed that there was a movement for female charitable societies. In the past, we have been credited with being the oldest or the second, but through research, we think we're quite the oldest in the state. We're not related to any, it's only being named. It was just a movement. It seems that we are the most active. Today, our society is officially the Female Charitable Society of the Village of Baldwinsville. Things haven't changed all that much in 206 years since the beginning. Our mission still is dedicated to quietly aiding the residents that live within the Baldwinsville School District. Thank you all who have a part to help make our society move forward. And I'll turn it over to Kathy. is the responsive reading. It's in your agenda. It's Corinthians chapter 1, verse 13. Though I speak in the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal.
And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I can remove mountains, and I have not charity, I am nothing.
Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up.
Does not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil.
Rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth.
Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things.
Charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away.
For we know in part, and we prophesy in part.
But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away.
When I was a child, I spake as a child, and understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
For now we see through a glass darkly, then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall know even as also I am known.
Now abideth the faith, hope, and charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity.
Next is Marianne Williams is going through the Constitution. The original Constitution.
The original Constitution. The preamble. To obtain a more perfect view of the infinite excellence of the Christian religion in its own nature, the importance of making this religion the chief concern of our own hearts, the necessity of promoting it in our own families, and of diffusing it among our fellow sinners are among the motives which induce us to institute this friendly association. Relying upon the blessing and guidance of the King of Zion to aid our feeble exertions, we do covenant and agree for the above purposes by subscribing our names to the following articles. Article 1. This society shall be called the Female Charitable Society of Baldwinsville. Article 2. One great object of this society shall be to afford aid to religious institutions. Article 3. For the better carrying our purposes into effect, each member shall contribute $2. Article 4. The officers of the society shall be the president, first vice president, second vice president, treasurer, assistant treasurer, secretary, historian, and 4 directresses. The board shall not consist of more than 12 members. Article 5. There shall be 4 stated meetings each year to be held on the last Wednesday of March, June, September, and December. The June meeting is to be the annual one for the election of officers. Article 6. The meetings shall be opened with prayer and concluded with prayer and singing. Article 7. The President shall call special meetings when requested to do so by 2 or more members and giving 2 weeks' notice, and may adjourn a meeting from time to time by consent of the members present. Article 8. Persons of unblemished moral character may become members by making application, paying the annual fee, and receiving the vote of the society. Article 9. Any member may withdraw from the society by notifying the secretary. Article 10. If any person shall conduct herself improperly and refuse to hear reproof, she shall be excluded from the privileges of the meeting until she manifests unfeigned repentance. Article 11. We promise to keep all things that relate to the society secret, which would be attended with the least injury to any of its members. Article 12. The treasurer shall take charge of the funds of the society and keep a regular account of the receipts and disbursements. The money shall be paid only on the order of the society by vote at some regular meeting or by the vote of a majority of the society officers. Article 13. The secretary shall keep an account of the proceedings of the society and a list of its members. Article 14. The monies belonging to the society shall be applied annually to some pious and charitable purpose. Article 15. We resolve to be charitably watchful over each other, to advise, caution, and admonish if necessary or useful. We promise not to resent, but kindly and thankfully to receive such friendly advice or reproof from any of our members. Our wish and endeavor will be when together to converse upon the all-interesting subject of religion. Article 16. No person shall be received as a member of this society who indulges in the practice of making or receiving visits on the Sabbath, or who is in the habitual practice of neglecting public worship. Article 17. Persons seeking to join the society should be informed of the requirements of this Constitution. Article 18. The name of any member will be dropped whose dues are unpaid for 3 years. Article 19. The society shall defend and indemnify its directors and officers against loss or liability arising out of the performance of their duties to or on behalf of the society to the fullest extent permitted by law. Now, we chuckle at some of the language in which we used to write it, or some of the rules in the articles, but the important part is that we honor our mission, which is to quietly help those in need in our community.
Thank you, Maria. As in place of the Secretary's report, since we haven't had a meeting since 2019, we did have a board meeting last year, but we didn't put any old Secretary's report, and we're going to report on what went on since 2019. First of all, you'll notice that our Secretary, Sue McManus, is not sitting here. She has resigned. She was part of our board for well over 20 years and is now earning her vacation. So, I mean, she's still at the museum, but anyways, we thank her for all she did. In place of the Secretary's report, we're going to, as I said, we're going to do a rundown of events since the last annual meeting. We had, most of you probably know, we had a major fire on March 1st on 2020. And that was at number 10, our main building. Multiple meetings, we had multiple meetings with insurance companies, the insurance company and the architect of Ginger's husband was a big help with that. And he just kept us on task. It was a major undertaking. Many meetings. And of course then, the pandemic hit in March. So we had to deal with that. We had many meetings by having the insurance company and the architect, and then we had to go through all of the rules and regulations for COVID, and buy an e-mister, and Ellen is our e-mister guru. She still does that weekly, and it just was major trying to figure out what we could do and could not do. We had no building to work out of. We tried working on 14 for a short length of time, and we didn't really loan equipment. Or we only took it back. We didn't really loan for a while. It was just nightmare, really. I will say that all the board members, I'm sure, agree with that. And another thing I want to mention that if you know about where our national or our historic marker was, it was across from Anheuser-Busch. It's been down for, I don't know, probably a couple, maybe a year and a half. And thanks to Cindy Clark has found it in the village park. Why they didn't want to bring us back to us, but she's working on it right now. Maybe you want to tell,
Well, I didn't know it was there until I got a text from one of the highway guys, because I'd seen something on Facebook. I saw that the sign was gone, and then I saw something on Facebook, and somebody said, well, they thought it was at the barn or one of the highway departments or whatever, but I got a text indicating that yes, it was there. So I went up to look, and I took Jim Kratzer with me, who had redone the sign in front of the old post office, because he's very familiar with all that. And he said, well, we got to see if we can find the pole, this and that. But if we can find the pole, fine, we'll see what we can do. They say they work with a metal person or a welder on Canton Street or Canton Street Road, who is very clever and very talented, may do it for a very reasonable price. And then you can replace, we can get this all back together again to highlight and maybe find a better location where it's more obvious.
The location is where the Farrington House was.
Okay.
Then when we started, so that's why the location is there.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you very much for pursuing all that. In September 2021, we had new board members. Rita Nasdin, Pat Pritchard, and Mary Ann Williams joined our board. We're thankful for that too. We cannot do a meeting by having a huge, can't do a meeting without having a huge thank you to Nancy Landon, who has been made over 300 walker bags, and she's amazing. And they're wondering if you have a walker and you need something to put on the walker to carry things. There's Ellen's got it right there.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight it. Yeah, there's many in the back on the table for different fabrics. And her fabrics were all donated, so.
Yeah,
Yes.
so if anybody
Thank you for the fabric.
you need more fabric?
Well, I don't refuse, but I don't need a truckload either.
It needs to be like upholstery, right? I mean,
No, I'll take anything. I figured out ways around that. But if you take a look at the table, maybe you'll recognize some of the prints that some of you have given me. So thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
And also would like to thank Nancy was former secretary at the Presbyterian Church, and she on her computer she retired, but she kept all of our templates, so she has the one that redid did our program. I think she did an excellent job as always. And one last thing before I turn it over to Joan, we want to thank the Hudson family for taking 3 of our members in the Memorial Day Parade. I thought, well, when it came around for the parade, did we want to sign up? Well, I knew we didn't want to walk. I wasn't definitely going to walk, and the banner we carried before is pretty heavy. So I thought, well, maybe we can get a car. So I knew that the Hudsons had cars. So Greg and his wife carried our ladies, and they also, we couldn't put the sign on front because it was so heavy. So they went and they got one of those magnetic signs. So we now have 2 magnetic signs that can go on a car in the next parade, which they are looking forward to. So we thank the Hudsons for all that, and they also donated their signs, so we thank them for that. Now I'm going to turn it over to Joan Mosier, who's going to do the treasurer's report, but she also has another update that she'd like to do.
Hi, good afternoon. Inside of your program is the treasurer's report of our finances for the past year. I'm going to highlight just a couple of things in there, but if any of you have any questions about any of the specifics, I'll be here and you can ask me anything you need to know. The donations last year were extremely generous, $13,623. We received over 400 individual donations in addition to dues. We have people that donate every week. Sometimes I get 2 donations, sometimes I get 20 donations. People are very, very, very thankful for the work that the society does, and they aren't shy to show that either. And a lot of people too have left Female Charitable as a name in obituaries for legacies to be donated to female charitable, so we're very well loved. We did have to take some money from our brokerage account this year because our expenses were a little high. We have a high professional fee, which I'll talk about in a little bit, why that is higher than it normally is. And also under repairs and maintenance, those of you that have been down to the loan closet noticed that we had both of our parking lots redone. They were getting pretty bad, and we were afraid that somebody was going to fall and injure themselves. So over the last 2 years, in addition to all the work for the fire, we redid the 2 parking lots. So that's the high expense for the repairs and maintenance. The professional fee. When the society first started, we were classified by the IRS as a public charity. And then in the early 60s, the IRS found out that that was being abused by a lot of organizations. And so they turned everybody over and became a private foundation. What that meant was we were going to have to pay taxes on our non-charitable assets. Those being 16 River Street, which houses the hairdresser, the rent from 16 River Street, and that was a couple $100 a year. So we looked into changing that back to a public charity. And we started that process on July 1st, 2017. We had to go through a 5-year testing period. And we just completed that. We were approved by the IRS to now go back to being a public charity, which means that, number one, we won't have to pay those taxes any longer, so that's more money for the society. And we have a little bit more discretion on how we use our money. So that was a wonderful thing. We did have to pay our accountants to get all that together for us, so that's why there's a high amount under professional fees. Our brokerage account is down a little bit from what it was last year, but that's a reflection of the stock market. Last year, the brokerage account was $345,000. And this year, at the end of May, it's $333,000. We have 2 annuities with American National, which are fixed annuities. They pay us an interest rate every year, and we have not taken any money out of those. So those continue to accrue money month over month. So we try to leave those alone. The other thing that we have going on is we're looking for a new place to operate out of. Some of the challenges that we have at 10 River Street is we're running out of room, number one. Even though we have 14 River Street, which is our storage unit, that runs out of room, and Ginger and Kathy have to continuously move equipment back and forth between the 2 buildings, which can be very, very difficult in the wintertime especially, or in nasty weather. So we've investigated a lot of different places for a new building. We talked about leasing, but we don't really want to lease because then you're at the mercy of the landlord and you never know what's going to happen to your lease. You could be asked to move, your lease could be increased. We didn't want to do that, and we didn't want to rent. And there's just absolutely no place in Baldwinsville that's big enough. We wanted to stay close to the village to service everybody, and there's really no place in Baldwinsville that's big enough. So we have been investigating buying land. And we have been talking to Syracuse Home. They own about 140-some acres in and around the village of Baldwinsville. And we have been talking with Syracuse Home about possibly obtaining some land from Syracuse Home. So that's in process. Nothing really too new to update on that, but that's an option for us. We've decided we really need to build rather than try to lease or rent. So we'll keep you posted on that if we hear anything. And in the meantime, if anybody knows of anybody that would like to sell land or has some type of a large building, we're looking for at least 3,600 square feet. The Baldwinsville community has really grown over the years, and the need has really grown over the years. So we really want to get something that is going to hold us for many, many years to come. So, and then other than that, I think that's all I have to report. If you have any questions about the treasurer's report, seek me out and I can answer your questions for you.
She needs a big round of applause. Her knowledge is amazing. Next, we'll have our next thing, which is a main focus.
Because when Donna O'Donnell left the board, that was her position, and I was asked to take it. And it provides assistance for an otherwise unmet need to any aged individual living in the Baldwinsville School District. And I have a book this thick, going back 60, 70 years, about how those funds have been dispersed. And just a little of the history you might be interested in. A young boy who broke a bone and couldn't afford an x-ray, his school nurse called, and we provided money for that. We've provided deposits for a female who was in an unsafe living situation and wanted to get her own place and could not afford to make the deposit. We have helped with medical equipment that's not been paid for by insurance. As you know, insurance is paying less and less on all of our bills. So it was so interesting for me to read what the history was. From May 2021 to August 2022, we decided to give $100 each month to a house of worship in Baldwinsville. And I was shocked, and you probably will too. There are 16 houses of worship in the Baldwinsville School District. And each month we sent $100 to a different church, and we only asked that the pastor give it to someone in the congregation that was in need. We asked that it not go through the general operating funds, but that they identify a family that could really use the money. And I had wonderful thank you notes from just about every church for doing that. In the last, one of the requirements to get this money, they do have to be referred, either by a physician's office. Canton Woods has called me a lot. The outreach workers there are wonderful. So it can be a pastor, it can be a doctor's office, it can be a school nurse. And they actually need to work with a person and be sure that the need is there. And then they call us, and we actually pay the money directly to the provider that is owed the money. That's a better situation. We try and take a step back and let the agency work with the client, and then we do send that. A couple of the things that we've done, we had a local woman who reached out to Canton Woods that she was having surgery in Albany, and she had to be there at 6 a.m., as you know, very early for surgeries. And she also, it was a one-day surgery, but she was very concerned that she should probably stay the night in a hotel and did not have the funds to do that. So we did pay 2 nights hotel. We paid the night before so that she could be at Albany Medical Center at 6 a.m. And then we also paid the night of her surgery because she obviously could not drive until the next day. So that was one thing we have done. Another thing that we did recently, there was a gentleman who was referred by Canton Woods who had food insecurity. And so we provided a $100 gift card from Tops. We brought it to Canton Woods and then they gave it to the client. So that's another way that we are working through our community. If you do know of people that might be eligible for this, I will say it's budgeted every year and we don't reach the budget, so we're always interested to hear if there are needs out there that we might go. But one more I forgot. Bowling for Autism was in April in Baldwinsville. They reached out to us and asked if we would be a sponsor. And every year they pick a not-for-profit, and this year they chose 2023 Families First. It's a not-for-profit that supports families who have children with autism. And so we did donate $200 to that organization to be a sponsor. Thank you.
And that's our biggest thing, probably their most known thing is equipment. And if you haven't seen the wheelchair on the board back there, that's the first one that was loaned out or bought and loaned out in 1928. Joe Ginger will give us an update.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad you could come. As you know, in keeping with our mission which is a dedication to the quiet assistance of neighbors, we run and operate our medical loan closet. Many of you are volunteers. Our goal is to provide safe, gently used, sanitized, durable medical equipment. There's no charge for the item, and people can keep it as long as they want. Statistics, I was interested in how many pieces of equipment we have and how things have changed over the years since we got our first wheelchair. The need for this service has grown, and we've grown with it. Right now, we have over 3,000 pieces of medical equipment that we loan out. When we started in 1928, we had the one wheelchair, which was, of course, a long time ago. When I first started working with this group, we had about 1,000 pieces of equipment. Now we have 3,000. On the average, we loan out about 35 pieces of equipment per week, or 140 items per month. Our donations number about 50 per month. We do take donations. Our donations come from lots of different organizations, mostly individuals in the Baldwinsville area, but we also get donations from throughout Onondaga County. People seem to be able to find us. I think we're on the Okra list for recycling. So people that come and Fayetteville, Bridgeport, everywhere around. They're very happy because most people don't want to get rid of their medical equipment, so they really don't know what to do with it. And most of our equipment is really like brand new. Actually, we get brand new equipment that's still in boxes that we get and we put together. So we really are very fortunate that we have lots of donations, and we do loan out lots and lots of things. It is feast or famine in the world of donations. We either have nothing of something or we have tons of it. Right now, we have no strength canes at all, which on our database, we have about 365, and there's none in the loan closet right now. However, we do have about 20 seated walkers. So if anybody's looking for a seated walker, come to us. But a straight cane we don't have right now. Mostly, let's see, we do get some organizations that do donate to us, like PACE, Francis House, and Buckley Landing, and Syracuse Home. We've gotten some things from them. We're really the only volunteer agency, of this size and scope in Central New York. I don't think there's any other loan closet. We're very unique, and we're very unique to Baldwinsville because there's no other place. There's some couple loan closets. I believe Marcellus has a small one, but very quickly they gave it to the town clerk to take care of for some reason. And very quickly they got overwhelmed with all kinds of equipment, and they really couldn't handle it anymore. So they really are very strict about who they loan equipment to. We also share equipment. When we get a lot of extra equipment or we get something that's very specialized, we will share with other organizations like Access CNY and St. Joe's Home Care. We get a lot of OTs and PTs that come in that look for equipment for people at home. And if for some reason someone is out of the Baldwinsville area and we have a lot of, let's say, commodes, which we always do, we will just give it to them if it's not covered by their insurance. We do, and if there are specific needs for equipment, you can go through our special needs program. Now, obviously, Kathy and I are co-chairs of this. We don't do all this by ourselves. There's lots of volunteers, of course, that really do, but also we have other board people. Rita does donations on the days that she works. Linda McClellan completes our database that we have. Nancy Landon sews and donates all of our beautiful bags that we give out free of charge for our walkers. Joe McMahon is Linda McMahon's husband. He does minor repairs on our equipment. Bonnie does the bed donations and loans. And Ellen also trains the volunteers, does the schedule with Bonnie, and also she uses our e-mister. We are still using our same cleaning, sanitizing routine that we used during COVID. We kind of stepped up our game as far as that during COVID. So we are still using that e-mister. And we did have donations to buy that, and it really has been very helpful, especially with the beds. Really, most important, though, of anybody are the volunteers, because the volunteers are the people that are there Monday through Friday, 10 to 2, and they're the ones that really make it work. So in Baldwinsville, it certainly takes a village. So thank you very much for all the volunteers that donate their time and their talents, because we really couldn't do it without you. Thank you.
Ellen and I need to add anything to the volunteers. But if we couldn't do it without the volunteers.
Over 2,000 hours last year. I'd like to see the volunteers. So thank you very much. And the other thing we started doing a couple years ago was we actually came up with a volunteer manual. So we do run a little training course. It's about 30 minutes, but it just, there's a lot to it. You're greeting the public, you're answering the phone, you're answering their questions, you're taking their donations, you're cleaning the equipment. So it sounds easy, but all of you who are doing it know that it does take some skill and some energy. So we do thank you for that. Currently we have 23 volunteers that are actively working at the Loan Closet. I did look that up, and I probably will be doing another class in July if people aren't away, because I have a couple of names of people who, when they sent in their dues, would like to be volunteers. So, and of course, all the board members are volunteers, so we are totally volunteer. You want to add?
Everything's all volunteer. And something in my head. You don't, if you want to volunteer, you don't have to sign your life away. You can take a look at the calendar or call down and say what's available, and maybe somebody might take 10 to 2, and somebody might take 10 to 12, and 12 to 2. Yeah, but it's whenever you can do it. It's not like you've got to do it once a week or anything like that, just whenever you can. So we look forward to more volunteers, so if anybody's available, go ahead and see Ellen or myself. Anyways, thank you. Good introduction. Next, new members. Linda McClellan.
Thank you. It's been very nice for me to put faces to the names on my list of members. We currently have approximately 400 active members, which I think is very gratifying. In the past year and a half, we've had 52 new members. I'm sure you're not surprised, most of those members are ladies in the Baldwinsville area. But we are open to gentlemen, and there's one here today, I believe. And we have several. And we do have several gentlemen on the membership list, which is wonderful. Even though most of the people are from Baldwinsville, I thought you might be interested to know we have members from Tennessee, Florida, North Carolina, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Vermont, Massachusetts, Indiana, Illinois, South Carolina, Virginia, Mississippi, Ohio, and New Hampshire.
Wow. We have one right back there.
Yeah.
Who's come from Carolinas, right? South Carolina.
I think it's very gratifying to know that so many people support our mission. We're very grateful. Thank you for coming today.
And now to call on Nancy Lane and Rita James to put us up to next year.
Call each other the Lucy and Ethel show.
It's a long story.
It's a long story, we'll wait it. The nominations for the board for 2023 through 2024 are as follows. For President, Bonnie Kisselstein. For Vice President, Ellen Jennings. For Temporary Secretary, Marianne Williams. For Treasurer, Joan Mosher. For Historian, Linda McMahon. Directresses, Linda McClellan, Linda McMahon, Rita Natson, Ginger Ruddock, Kathy Strain, Marianne Williams.
Are there any nominations from the floor? All right, that being so, those in favor of the slate of officers that have been proposed, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations.
Next up, thank you, Marianne, again, for playing the piano and helping the title cards in your program. We also thought that this is much more COVID conscious, so hopefully you enjoy the refreshments after we had wonderful entertainment from our B-Bill music leader, Phil Sterling.
You said no more than an hour?
I think you're hungry.
Well, I'm trying to decide what to play. My piano background is mostly classical. I had a piano teacher from the time I was 10 or so. You don't need to play that rock and roll stuff or whatever. I never did. I just played classical. while that was a good basis, I really envy somebody who can sit down like my older brother who just taught himself to play, and he just plays by ear. So I thought I would just play a couple of tunes. One of the things with classical music is it's longer than most people are used to listening to, so I may abridge some of these a little bit. But I thought I would touch 4 composers, promise briefly. I was going to do some pieces that I said, oh, I'm sure everybody knows this. Comme ça, G-N-O-S-S-I-E-N-N-E, I believe it's Nocien. He wrote 2 arabesques, and I always like this one. I think it's been used for like a morning scene, if you recognize this. truth be told, it's one of those ones that sounds really impressive. It's not all that hard to play. The next one is by an English composer, Cyril Scott, and I just love it because it uses all the black keys. I noticed that if any of you ever have, if you have a piano or keyboard at home, and little kids come up to try to play it, I've noticed the majority of times they only play the white keys. And I try to say, now look, if you just played on the black keys, you can play anything and it's okay. But this is called Lotus Land, and again, I'll only play about half of it, but it's a fun piece. And there's a lot of pauses in it where it's like, as soon as you stop playing. So, and whenever I play, and there's a multi-movement piece, whether it's piano or band, I quote, I believe it was, who's a piano player from the 60s, young, handsome guy. Oh, anyways.
Peter New.
Classical. Anyways, he would say, you know, if somebody would applaud in the middle of something where, you know, you're only supposed to applaud at the end of the piece and it's 4 movements. You know, somebody starts applauding and people go, shh. And he says, you know, sometimes I feel like applauding myself. And the last composer, minute waltz, which takes me 2 minutes to play. But Chopin wrote so many beautiful waltzes. That was kind of my meat and potatoes growing up. And polonaises. They're real energetic pieces. But one of my favorites, and this has been used in movies, I've heard it, I can't think of the movie quote, but he wrote a number of nocturnes, and this is a nocturne in E flat.
Thank you, Phil.
We have plenty.
Thank you very much for everybody who participated, and thank you, Phil, for playing, and thank you for Mary Ann, and Nancy for doing the program, and everybody that's been mentioned before. I hope you enjoy the refreshments. Feel free to go over and help yourselves. It's all over to you, so for
The corner, if you know how to get it. I love the corner. You're like me. I love the corner. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm good with that.
Mina. Is it Mina? Oh my God.
I haven't seen her.